Should you pull for Yuri's FR Echo, his role is going to be a mixed attacker, gravity, battery, and healer. His attacks: Crystal Power is skill 1. It does 5 split HP attacks. It drains his own HP by 50% of his current health. It reduces the enemy group Brave by 50% of their current Brave. Relic Crystal, his skill 2. It does 6 HP attacks. It reduces his own Brave by 100% of his current Brave. And it grants his buff Chilinka's Prayer for 8 turns. Clavation Sword, his EX. It is 7 AoE HP attacks. It sets the enemy's Brave to 0. It grants allies Brave by 30% of the HP damage dealt. It increases his skill uses by 1. It inflicts group Holy Resist down for 8 turns, and it grants his other buff, Crystal User, 2 halves for 8 turns. Magic Blast Ultiga, his LD. It is 6 HP attacks. It grants the buff Great Crystal's Memory for 12 turns. To put it very shortly, what it does is it enables his trap, Ring Lock, but we're gonna get to what that is much later on. Magic Blast Holiga, his Brave attack. It is an instant turn rate move, which it increases active Ring Locks on the enemies by 1 level, up to 4 levels. It extends the duration of his active buffs by 1 turn, and lastly, it cancels the Ring Lock debuff. Magic Blast Holiga, it triggers whenever Ring Lock that has a level less than 4 is removed, in which it deals 3 split HP attacks. And the plus version triggers whenever Ring Lock at level 4 is removed, and that is a total of 8 split HP attacks. Sloga Bomb is FR. It has an effect in which it gives the entire party Holy Enchant. Great Rainbow Circle, his BT. It lasts for 8 turns. It gives a party HP cap up of 30%. It gives himself an HP cap up of 50%. The enemy's hit rate goes down by 100%. If you guys don't know what hit rate means, it's basically Opera Omnia's version of accuracy. Put it simply, enemy's accuracy goes down by 100%. And for that last little bit of utility, it gives the entire party a Brave Refund effect for 30% of the HP damage dealt every turn. Yuri's buffs and debuffs. Chilinka's Prayer, it prevents Brave and HP consumption from party abilities. It gives Yuri a self-holy enchant. Whenever Yuri attacks, this buff allows him to retain 20% Brave after every dump. And lastly, Chilinka's Prayer gives a speed up by 80%. It's pretty fast. Crystal User, 2 halves. It triggers Chilinka Exit on Companion whenever it cancels. Don't ask me what that is. I actually don't know. It gives Yuri an HP regen of 30% of his max HP. Great Crystal Memory, this is his overhead. It makes it so that whenever Yuri attacks, it inflicts Ring Lock onto the enemy for 6 turns. On what Ring Lock is exactly, it is a level debuff from 1 to 3. It increases by 1 level whenever it is active and Yuri re-inflicts it, and upon expiration or cancellation, it triggers the trap attack. We've already gone through that. Yuri's Force Conditions, you get a 45% whenever anyone's regenerating HP after acting, plus 5% when you're using a holy ability, including off-turn damage. You get a last 25% whenever Yuri uses a holy ability, including off-turn damage. Let's go to Yuri's pros. His BT, making it so enemy attacks never hit. That's kind of good. What's great about this is, despite this very good effect, his BT effect got upgraded from 6 turns to 8 turns. That is very clutch. Any longer you can make this effect go is very nice. Another pro for Yuri, the fact that he's able to inflict his traps pretty much with any attack that he does, it's very helpful. Usually setting traps are delegated to specific skills in someone's kit. It gives Yuri a lot more freedom onto what he can do. And this should also be mentioned, the fact that he gives party Holy Enchant. It's pretty helpful, I must say, and it makes his FR pretty viable to be your main one. Usually as kind of a debuffer, trap user like himself, enemies who cleanse themselves a lot normally is a very bad thing. However, with Yuri, his debuffs thrive on the enemy cleansing themselves, because after every expiration or cancellation on them, it deals damage. So you can be racking up a lot of damage, a lot of force numbers very quickly with the enemy cleansing themselves a lot. And lastly, I must say, looking at his kit, his damage, even outside of his traps, is good. He's not going to be viable enough for your main DPS without his traps, mind you, but he is still very much able to hold his own, even if, you know, you're not able to trigger his traps as much as you would like. Moving on to Yuri's cons, his BT affects tanks who require to be hit for their counterattacks to trigger. To name a few, Rubicante, Orin, Gladio, they require to be hit. So if you are thinking of mixing in Yuri with those types of units, it's going to be tough. Make sure that his BT isn't active, because their counterattacks will not work. Now, another con with Yuri, unless they cleanse themselves a lot, his traps are not going to trigger as consistently as many others. They only trigger when they wear off. They don't trigger when the turn counts down. They don't trigger whenever anyone attacks. It's only on expiration or from his Brave attack. It's not going to be as consistent as you might expect it to be. Is Yuri's BT necessary? Because of the very, very high HP cap ups that he brings with his BT, his damage is going to be much, much higher with it. And also the fact that he pretty much makes his entire party untouchable. So I would say if you're pulling on him and you were considering whether to green, I'm leaning towards yes. However, if your resources are going low and you still want to use him, his traps and his FR still work just as fine. My should you pull rating for Yuri is going to be an S-. What really sells him to me is the fact that he has very good trap and off-turn damage, and you guys know how much I love off-turn damage. And also what his BT brings. With his BT active, I do believe he can be your main DPS, given his massive HP cap ups for himself. And also on the defensive side, with his party evasion effect. Not a lot of people are going to talk about him because, you know, Asto sets are on the way, but Yuri has a lot more value than people give him credit for, and he's going to be a very underrated unit. That's my should you pull video. Thank you guys so much for watching with me. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!